Here we are, back again with another U.S. history video. And today's video is going to be specifically talking about your final project and what the expectations are. I know I made a post, but I had a lot of questions from students about really what to do and where to start with it. So I'm going to make this video hopefully to clarify a few of those things. But as always, this will be the last joke of the year. And it's probably my best one. And my question to you is, do you know why you should not trust a tree? The reason? They're shady. So there you have it. As always, I keep looking over to see if my wife will laugh at it, but I got a little chuckle out of it. But if you are just finding it just absolutely hilarious, take a few minutes to pause the video, and then we get back to U.S. history. So from your post, you realize that the project is going to be on a decade of your choosing. So you can pick anything from the 1750s all the way up to the 2000s. So that really should be your first step, figuring out what your decade is going to be. Once you figure out what your decade is, go ahead and send me either an email or private comment on your assignment, so I know which one that you're going to be doing. So after you pick that, you're then going to be trying to find 5 American events from your decade. And once you find your 5 American events, scroll down. You can see where it says step 1. What exactly should be an example? And the one that I have is going to be from the 1930s. So say, for example, if you try to use Pearl Harbor in the 1930s, that would not work. Even though World War II starts in 1939, Pearl Harbor is in 1941. So make sure your event starts in your decade. Now, it could finish in a separate one, but the starting date has to be from your decade. It must also have U.S. involvement. So what I mean by that is if you're doing the 1930s, you're not going to be picking the Holocaust. You're not going to be picking something like the Russian Revolution, although we talked about those in class. It has to be U.S. specific involvement in that event. And then what you're going to be doing after that is minimum of 6 bullet points, kind of summarizing a quick summary about what each of those events are going to pertain. And then the other kind of catch-all with that is only 2 of your events can be from the same war. So if you're picking the 1930s or 1940s, 2 of your U.S. events can be specific battles, can be Pearl Harbor, but only 2 events can be from the same war. So I'm not trying to get just a single project on one war, kind of an overall idea, an overall representation of what that decade is going to look like. And then after you've finish that, you're then going to be looking at this list here where it's B through G. You're going to be picking 2 items from there to be going and finding kind of a little bit more about what the United States was going to be like at that time period. And it ranges from fashion, entertainment, inventions, famous people, values, anything like that. And once you figure out what you want to be doing for that, make sure you scroll down and look at the criteria for each. So say, for example, a lot of people pick famous inventions of the time period. You'll notice when you look at the criteria for it, it's not just listing 5 different inventions and describing what they are. Now, I'll be honest, a lot of them are going to be pretty self-explanatory, but also how is that going to impact the American people's lives? So don't just, it's not a slide for you just to put 5 pictures and say, hey, this came out during this time period, but more of an explanation. And I also put in here, your math on here isn't going to add up for what I have. The reason that's the case is I used to assign this entire project when we were working in school and had it at 50 minutes a day, but trying to keep with the 20 minutes a day time period that the state and the school told us we should do. I'm only going to have you guys be picking 2 from this list below. So all of them are going to say out of 15 points. That's true, they are out of 15 points, but you don't need to do all 6. Now, if you want to do extra, I usually don't allow this, but because we are doing distance learning, I am going to let you do a few more for some extra credit. So you do have that option. You do have that ability as well. And now to show you an example of what this project really should look like. Here's an example from a student that I had last year that chose the 1960s. So as you can see, their layout, they pretty much just followed the format as to what I have on there. They picked their 5 American events. You can see the start date being 1963 for for the JFK assassination, the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King, and then just make sure you have like those 6 bullet points, those 6 pieces of information that you would need to include on there. And after that, again, you start to pick what are your things going to be. As you can see, they had to do all 6. The fashion, entertainment, they gave explanations, talking about the government and politics, and inventions and famous people, all the way down through the list. And then again, make sure that you have your sources listed on your final slide. So there you have it. If you have any questions on what to do, please don't hesitate to ask. But I know I had a lot of people emailing me this morning, so I figured I'd make this video kind of explaining the starting point and everything else that you need to do.